Hello, my friends, and welcome to 5 for the Future for this week, the week of May 13th. Let's jump into the 5 topics that stood out to me recently as signals of change that could impact your small business. I'll summarize the story and share why you should care. Ready to get started? Here are our 5 topics for this week: anti-aging, design innovations, immigration, EVs and Tesla, and new uses for AI. Let's begin with our story number 1, anti-aging. The latest trend among billionaires is the pursuit of immortality. And I don't mean by having their name or reputation live on, I mean they literally want to live forever, or at least for a super long time. And they're willing to spend lots of money on some quacky services and products to extend their lives to the age of 150 or 200 years old. Also trending, wellness travel or a longevity vacation where you work on optimizing your personal health while on vacation with IV drips, stem cell therapy, and full body scans. What does all this mean for the rest of us normal, non-billionaire humans? Let the crazy tech bro billionaires test out new medicines or techniques for future use. For now, back in the real world, we're still seeing an anti-aging trend in that boomers are not following the traditional path to retirement. They not only plan to work longer, but they also plan to live longer and spend their hard-earned money. Many with those over 65 accounting for nearly 1/4 of spending in 2020 in the US. So what does this mean for you and your small business? A few things here. First, consider these unretired boomers as potential recruitment source as you work to grow your business. Who says you have to hire Zoomers when you could hire boomers? Next, think about your customer base and how you might serve this giant audience of boomers that have plenty of money to spend. And finally, consider your own health and how you can embrace the more reasonable recommendations to slow your aging. It's not rocket science. The number one key is the quality of your relationships. Also, a good night's sleep, a healthy diet, and a good income sure help as well. So what might the future look like? Imagine a future where you can't tell the age of the person you're working with, where you might have 30 or 40 more good years of life after you retire at 65. Where the whole concept of retiring is reworked to include entrepreneurship, angel investing, mentoring, and other resources from the senior population that benefit small businesses like yours. And moving on to story number 2, design innovations. Sometimes we don't know what we need until someone invents it. Smartphone, anyone? That's the challenge with innovation. How do you test the market for something that no one is explicitly asking for? This week, let's look at a couple innovative solutions solving problems we weren't looking to solve, or at least not in these ways. First up, sound suppressing silk fabric to help create quiet spaces. This incredibly thin material is designed to vibrate in a way that it cancels outside noises, like your noise canceling headphones. But it can also be held still and suppress vibrations, preventing noise from being transmitted through the fabric. No more listening in on your office mate's private phone calls. Next, solar reflective paint that drops the surface temperature by several degrees, keeping pavement cooler during the day. The more area covered with this paint, the more people could sense the cooling impact it had. And finally, something so obvious you might be surprised to know it didn't exist. A sortable database of childcare providers by community, showing the location, types of care, ages they serve, and prices. You see, many small providers don't have the money or time to put up a website, and the regulatory environment is very complex, so there's no one entity collecting all the daycare information. Until now, it's a start. So what do all these things mean for you and your small business? Just another reminder to be open to opportunity when you see it. Do your customers complain about an issue unrelated to what you do? What if you could solve that problem for them in addition to how you serve them now? The best way to stay innovative with your customers is to keep an ear out for potential problems. And the best way to become irrelevant with your customers is to not listen and not change. Anyone need a typewriter ribbon? So what might the future look like? Imagine a future where new products and services are more focused on the needs of customers and less on the goal of being acquired by a giant company that offers great stock prices. Where we have the infrastructure to make it easier for the great idea people to partner with the great operations people and make things happen. There are pockets of this all over right now, but it would be great to see more and more of this embrace of innovation. And with that, let's move on to story number 3, immigration. I want to stay away from the politics of immigration and focus on some facts. First, Latin American immigrants are starting businesses at more than twice the rate of the US population as a whole. Next, without immigration, there would have been no net job growth since 2020, especially with boomers retiring, or at least some of them. Immigrants showed slowed population decline in over 1,000 counties from 2020 to 2023 as the US population aged in general. Immigrants help fuel local economies by sparking innovation and driving up wages. Immigrants are helping fill in-demand jobs not filled by citizens in areas as diverse as Maine lobster fishing and Montana luxury home construction. There was a global shortage of AI talent, and US big tech firms end up at a disadvantage when recruiting globally due to an outdated visa program. And many towns are struggling to find help, and a revamped immigration program could fill a lot of currently unfilled jobs. So what does this all mean for you and your small business? If we make our decisions on immigration based on data and economic forecasts, we can expect to see solid economic growth, more innovation, more small businesses, and more potential employees filling our open jobs. If we make our decisions based on fear and misinformation, well, then we're likely missing out. So what might the future look like? In my ideal future, our federal government gets its act together to find a solution to the immigration challenges we now face. Rural areas are able to welcome immigrants who help grow the community, fill open jobs, and create new businesses. And ultimately, the more diverse our population is across all communities, the more we'll come to embrace diversity and see the things that we all have in common. All right, I'll take off my rose-colored glasses now. And we can move on to story number 4, EVs and Tesla. In positive EV news this month, Ford announced an increase of 97% in sales this year as compared to last year. Prices for EVs are starting to trend downward, which is helping sales. And in California, the EV Mecca, there is now 1 EV charging station for every 5 gas stations. Plus, all those EVs have led to a decrease in CO2 emissions in areas in California that have the most EVs. Now, moving on to the negative news. First, about 20% of EV chargers fail when being used, a pretty poor statistic if you're counting on that charge to keep you going. And next, Tesla, which still sells about half of all EVs in the US, is struggling with lower sales numbers, including for its Cybertruck, and with accusations of fraud related to claims on the self-driving systems. Beyond that, Tesla laid off most of its charging team recently, a concern for many EV manufacturers that rely on Tesla superchargers as the industry standard. The company plans to slow its expansion, but not eliminate it. All of this could alter the landscape for EV charging and help change the mindset of charging being equivalent to filling up with gas. So what does all this mean for you and your small business? The most obvious message is that unless you're located in California, I don't see a huge rush to install an EV charger in your company parking lot. But one reason why this story matters is how this whole industry is playing out. EV charging is considered to be the Wild West these days, with lots of new startups building up networks and lots of M&A activity. Where there is disruption, there is opportunity. Can you serve the companies in this market? Can you find other equally disruptive markets who are going to be more open to working with anyone who could help them gain a competitive advantage? What might the future look like? The crazy thing is that the rapid EV charging along the highway may ultimately become a thing of the past as we continue to develop technology that allows for wireless EV charging while driving on the highway. Imagine a future where the highway is full of practically silent cars and trucks, many of which are driverless, that don't need to stop for gas or charging, or even a rest stop if the driver is the vehicle. Talk about disrupting a market. And for our final story, story number 5, new uses for AI. Sure, AI is in the news all the time, and that makes it hard for it to be its own topic easily here at 5 for the Future. So today let's look at just some uses for AI technology that popped up recently and consider their impact. These include a chatbot called Psychologist that helps millions of teens talk out their issues and stressors, but is ultimately leaving many of them addicted, preferring chatbots over humans for conversation. OpenAI's new multimodal AI model can now talk to you and recognize objects. Call center chatbots, with about half of contact centers planning to adopt this AI in the next year, helps them scale up capacity without hiring more humans. Supercharged AI shopping allows you to find what you're looking for faster, like Etsy's gift mode. Cost-saving AI-generated employee handbooks are causing all types of trouble for missing out on key components. An Angry Girlfriend is an AI chatbot that gamifies how to handle conflicts with your wife or girlfriend. Think about how these offerings are indicators of signals of change in how we interact with humans and with robots. What does this mean for you and your small business? Are you using AI to help generate marketing content or a chatbot to handle basic customer service needs? Are you aware of the plethora of tools out there to support small businesses? If you aren't, your competitors might be. So what might the future look like? Imagine a future where we don't know if we're talking to a human or a robot, where we spend the day chatting with an AI virtual assistant who's managing our day. And we're not using search engines anymore. We're just asking our assistant to find a gift for my brother, or book a flight to the conference, or respond to emails on my behalf. Spend some time thinking about this version of the future because it seems very likely to me right now. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. I hope these 5 topics and my take on them get you thinking about how these signals of change could ultimately impact your small business. Join me again in 2 weeks. Thanks.